Alright, it is time to give more of my opinions that nobody cares about, just so I have an excuse to talk about things that I like. Uh, the classic series. Um, haven't uploaded in a while. Yeah. Uh, coming out as a Death Grips fan, like most people at this point, I'd assume. Just most people in general. I don't know. I think most people have heard of this. I just want to kind of toss my hat into the ring, sort of give my whack opinions, because I've seen a lot of people rank Death Grip songs, and I've disagreed pretty harshly. But this isn't really going to be a normal tier list thing. I was going to just tier list all of their songs, but I decided it would be more interesting to rank every album separately, or almost every album, and then take the best and the worst of that, and then once I've ranked all of the albums, I compare the best and the worst that I decided to each other to find my ultimate favorite Death Grip song and my ultimate least favorite Death Grip song, because I've thought about this a while, ever since I've been listening to them, which one's my favorite, and I can't decide. So this will effectively force me to choose. If I break it down in smaller chunks and sort of go from there, because I really, really can't choose right now. But I'm gonna end up with a least favorite and a favorite, and it's probably not going to be the most satisfying thing, but it will be functional, and it's just an answer I can give to my favorite and my least favorite when nobody asks me. I just have it. All right. So yeah, you'll notice that not every single album. Well, their first EP isn't on here, because the person who put I didn't put together this tier list, by the way, because I was trying to decide which ones I include. I was like, do I include their EP? Do I include Fashion Week? Sorry, I forgot the name. Uh, Even though it's just instrumentals, and they kind of sort of blend together. Definitely not one of my favorites, but I like it a lot. And I went with no. I went with no, I'm not going to include it. And the tiebreaker was some guy already put all of the Death Grip songs on here. So I just went with what he had. I think it's a pretty good list, only taking their true albums, their studio albums plus Ex Military minus Fashion Week, which I think is fair. I really, really do like Fashion Week. I think the first Runway N is absolute banger. That would be my favorite one. I've already decided. But anyway, let's get on with it. So first we're going to be doing ex-military. You see I have 1 through 13 here, so I can rank them instead of just putting them in the same tiers. Not all of them are going to have 13, but most of them do. Like, especially the early ones. But it doesn't matter, the color, whatever. Okay, so I have thought about this a lot, but now that it comes to it, I don't really know where to start. I guess I'll shove on the ones that I really like. I really like Beware. That is my favorite intro, I'd say, to a Death Grips album. I think it's so good at setting things up. It's my intros are always something they absolutely nail. It just feels so right to start the album with whatever song they choose to open it with. Sorry. But I think Beware it's like the perfect song to start off their career even, It's great. Um Not saying it's my favorite, but it's in the running. Guillotine's really good. I think people overrate it, or at least it's more popular than some of the other ones, which my Known for It has probably my favorite beat on the album. Uh that would be what I'd put for my favorite for the Death Grips EP. Probably. I don't know. I really like Face Melter or oh man, I like them all, you know? Blood Creepin'. I really, really like this one as well. Great closer. I don't think that's gonna be in the running for my favorite of the album, but definitely running for top three. Um, I do like Culture Shock a lot. Clink. I think Clink is one that has grown on me. The more I listen to it, the more I like that song. So that is actually in the running for first. I didn't expect that. Sir Walls is good. Five, they're all like, listen, just it goes without saying they're all incredible. In my opinion, I love everyone, but man, Tachyon I really like, and Spread Eagle. Okay, that's my top list. Spread Eagle has that incredible sample. Favorite use of samples in this album, and Tachyon just has like the most unique vocals, I guess, or like even after their like decade long career, I think that is like some of their the like most standout vocals Riot has given. I think, um, yeah, just like really impressive. Uh, okay, so I think I'm gonna have to narrow it down for number one. I guess I can bump. Oh man, I can bump Clink. Not because that's my least favorite out of these, but just because it's. I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna put it number one. I don't like it enough. Like it just doesn't characterize the album enough. I guess it is tempting to give the hot take of Clink being the best, but nah. I think I can eliminate Spread Eagle. I really like Spread Eagle, but I think it's not gonna be my favorite. Um, Man, this is difficult. I'll eliminate Beware because I think its only flaw, if it has one, is that it is long, and when you get out of the zone, you realize that it's kind of the same thing over and over. But it reads like poetry, to be honest. I think it works, but it's just like not quite as creative, I guess. I don't know. You have to draw the line somewhere. I think I'm choosing Known for It because between Tachyon and Known for It, I think Known for It it's just best beat, really good vocals. The get it. You know, a great sample. I gotta say, very weird sample that you don't expect to work. Okay. Um, I guess I can bring all of them up now for sorting. So I'm thinking for number two, it's definitely going to be one of those first choice picks for sure. I'm thinking Beware is going to take it, or Clink. Oh, this is even harder. This choice doesn't matter as much because I've already determined which one's going to be in the running at the end. Now I just need to determine the last one, but I still want to give an official ranking, just for my own. Like the reason I wanted to do this mostly is so I can go back once my opinions have changed and developed a bit, and maybe see if I still agree with myself or disagree with myself, whatever. This isn't cementing my opinion forever at all. Um, all right, I'm going to go with Beware. I think, just I love it. It's the reason it's here is very much the placement in the album. This being the opener is really powerful and great. I love it, and it belongs nowhere else. If this was like anywhere else in the album, it'd probably be significantly lower. But I just had such an experience hearing this for the first time. This wasn't the first album by Death Grips I heard, by the way, but it really set the tone because every Death Grips album is like hearing it for the first time in a way because they're all so different. So I can eliminate 5D because that one's just like the instrumental stuff. It's like a transitionary song. Oh man, I think I'm actually gonna put yeah, I'm putting Clink. I would never have put any Clink. Like Clink just kind of flew under the radar when I was first listening to this, but now I've listened to it like 50 times, like a ridiculous number of times. To be honest, I've heard this album. Clink really has grown on me. Then I'm putting Spread Eagle. It's very close between Spread Eagle and Tachyon, so I think I'm gonna obviously put Tachyon down here. Yeah, I like these two songs for different reasons, so choosing between them is pretty hard. I really like Spread Eagle's sampling and the like really hard instrumental. Definitely going into the more rock side, and Tachyon is definitely all about the vocals and like the beat and the percussion just supporting it, and it's great. It's so good. I think what tips it over the edge is I also like Spread Eagle's vocals a lot. Really iconic. Okay, so now we get 6, 7, and 8 spot. I think I have to put. I can't live with myself if I put Blood Creeping any lower. So this gets 6. Great closer. It's kind of crazy that I'm rating it that low because I love it so much. Now out of these, man, I think I'm gonna put either Culture Shock or Guillotine. Culture Shock has the like weird, you need to vibrate higher, and it's really great, and it just has like such a funky and weird vibe going on. It's great. Yeah, I've convinced myself. Guillotine is obviously great. It goes, it goes, it goes, it goes. Guillotine, like it, one of the, if not the most iconic, like arguably the most iconic chorus in a Death Grip song. Um, but I guess I like all of these better. There's not much more to say. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and put Through the Walls. I think Through the Walls. I really like. I don't know. I really like. It's like these are sort of almost. They feel like transitionary songs. This one absolutely is, but these three, Cutthroat, Through the Walls, and 5D, all feel like transitionary songs. I think I'm gonna put Cutthroat next. There's not much I can say about it. It's just really good at its job, in the album. Like these are great as supporting songs, but just if I'm ranking the songs alone, I have to put them lower than all of these. And wow, that leaves Lord of the Game and I Want It, I Need It in the bottom spots because I was just thinking in my head. I didn't do any of this thinking out loud. That I don't know. I think these earn their place in the album more than these two somehow. Just in my mind, in my own personal opinion. Feel free to disagree. These are some hot takes, I'm sure, because everyone has a different opinion. That's what I like about Death Grip so much is that everybody seems to have a different favorite song. It just goes to show how diverse they are and how many audiences they can reach. Um, so out of these, which one do I like less? I, huh. Oh, man. It sucks, but I think I'm gonna have to put Lord of the Game at the bottom. That is nuts. Because Lord of the Game has a really creative use of like the assisting vocals. It's really great. It feels really weird to hear Ride's vocals alongside someone else, but it works so well. I think, but my criticism with both of these songs actually is that they go on too long. And I do actually feel that. Like any Death Grip song that you could argue goes on too long, I like have accepted into my heart already. I'm like, no, you cut down even a second of that, I will. It will just feel off. But these I could actually see cutting it down like a minute, maybe a verse. Just because it feels repetitive, but I think that the problem is less evident in I Want It, I Need It. Plus, I think I like the chorus of I Want It, I Need It better. I want it, I need it too. And then sorry, I'm like stopping myself from singing the songs because no one wants to hear that. Not even, especially not me when I'm rewatching this. So yeah, Lord of the Game gets bottom place. Let me tell you right now, it's probably not going to be my least favorite overall. This album is just very solid. Not my favorite. Oh yeah, if you wanted to know my favorite Death Grips album overall, it's Bottomless Pit. Had to come to terms with that, beating the Money Store. You can tell what side of Death Grips I like. I'd say it's probably a more accessible end, I think. I mean, I love it all, but yeah, definitely the more like generic hip hop even poppy, but you can't really call any of their stuff pop, but Bottomless Pit comes closest. So yeah, it's probably Bottomless Pit, Money Store, and then like it gets really messy. It's probably Jenny Death after that. I am counting Jenny Death and uh the word I'm not allowed to say, On the Moon. Uh Fellas on the Moon as separate albums, even though I know they're technically one. It's just they're so different, and they complement each other. They sort of like go through the same evolution, but I can't. I want to judge them as separate things because I like Jenny Death so much more. Even though Fellas on the Moon absolutely slaps, Billy Not Really is so underrated. Black Quarterback, very, very, very underrated. I never hear. Well, that's not true. I hear people talk about it. Maybe it's not underrated. But um, oh yeah, I saw a Death Grips tier list of albums, and they put Jenny Death at like C tier. It was like their second least favorite album, and I lost my mind. I absolutely lost my mind. That's like my third favorite album. I don't understand people sometimes. But anyway, Let the Record Show, Known for It is first, and Lord of the Game is last. Uh, yeah. Alright, next is The Money Store, which was my favorite album for a very long time, even after I heard Bottomless Pit, which I did hear after, like a good month after hearing The Money Store. Because I'm a pretty recent Death Grips fan. Recent as in just under a year ago was when I first started listening to them. Because the first song I ever heard was actually Black Paint from their latest full album, which it was a bizarre introduction. I have basically the same story as everyone for being introduced to Death Grips, is that heard it. I heard it, everybody liked it, or lots of people liked it. There was like a following. Decided to give it a go, and hated it, and did not get it, and thought I would never get it, but knuckled down, listened to the full Year of the Snitch album. That was the first one I heard, and I kind of got it. Some of its songs kind of catchy, but overall I was like, meh, not feeling it. But then I went and listened to No Love Deep Web, I think was my second one I heard. Then I listened to The Money Store and was sold. Money Store sold me on the idea completely. I kind of listened to that on repeat a while, and then I was just I don't remember what order I listened to them all in, because I basically sought them all out. Except, weirdly, somehow I missed Bottomless Pit in all of that. I just missed it as an album that existed until like a month later, and it became my favorite one because oh man, I should rate these, but basically because Bottomless Pit basically gave me the feeling I had of listening to Death Grips for the first time, but again, and none of the albums ever did that to me. Not even Government Plates did that. Except Bottomless Pit. Somehow it's just like it was listening to Giving Bad People Good Ideas, going into Hothead. They were just so insane with like the most off the wall percussion I've ever heard. And it just like it took me so long, like it left a bad taste in my mouth when I first started listening to it, and then the rest was just generally so banging that I got sold again and was like, okay, I'm listening to these first two again, and then I liked them. But it took like some work to get into it, and then when I got into it, it was the most rewarding I've ever feeling I've ever felt listening to Death Grips, because it became my favorite album, and I love every song. Just letting you know now, a song from here is not going to be my least favorite. I don't think. I don't. It's going to be a really hard one to order. But anyway, The Money Store. So The Fever is going to definitely be in the running. Hustle Bones, I really, really like. Blackjack comes very close. Okay, I'm gonna end up putting all of them in there. I think people overrate Hacker because I see it being touted as like the best Death Grip song sometimes, or like second best on the album, or best on the album. I don't agree. So I've already thought about that one a lot, so I know that's not going to be my first one. Fuck That is really underrated. Um, Punk Wait's also underrated. The Cage is also... Okay, I can't go ahead and say all of them are underrated. Alright, I think The Fever is going to be my favorite. I have thought about this album a lot. The Fever is going to be my favorite, basically. And that does have a pretty decent chance of becoming my favorite overall. Like, it's definitely going to be very close. It was, I don't, like most people, I don't understand the lyrics to most of the songs first try, and I have to go look up the lyrics afterwards. And that was the best experience I've had reading the lyrics, because it put it on a whole nother plane. Like, I listened to it, I was like, that was catchy as hell, that was a banging song. And then I listened to the lyrics, and it somehow made it better, which is nuts. Because they're so simplistic, but they send, like, such a clear message. And, man, I mean, that chorus, uh, the, like, the weird synth that they have in there, so good. Oh, love that song. Anyway, that's gonna be my favorite. Get Got definitely is up there. Bitch Please, yeah, definitely up there. Um, yeah, this is where it gets dicey. I Hustle Bones has a really catchy chorus, but that's the thing. I'm gonna be saying about every single one. That is the power of this album. Is every single one has a catchy chorus that gets stuck into your head the first time you listen to it. Like, there's not a single one that I couldn't just like sing the chorus of. Just like or at least hum along to it. It's nuts. It's a really difficult decision. Okay, I'll do the same thing. I'll bring all the ones that are in the running. Double Helix, do you really want to know? Double. Hacker, I will happily throw in there. Think it's, I really appreciate it even more after hearing Earth Angel, because Earth Angel is, like, the only Death Grip song I can say I don't like, and it doesn't even count, because it's, like, a proto version of a Death Grip song. But, like, it sounds boring, which is something you never want out of a Death Grip song. Um, and then they turned it into Hacker, which is one of their greatest hits. It's just really impressive. Just like a bit more production value, I guess. Uh, I really like Lost Boys though. It's such a long way down. I think that's the one I feel you earn the chorus the most. It has the most build up. Like it doesn't come in until very late in the song with the "It's such a long way down," and it really hits you. You're just like, oh, feels so good. So that's what that's got going for it. It's a really great song. If I put any more up there, I'm gonna have too many. But I have to put Blackjack. Blackjack has like some of the weirdest vocal effects, and it works so well. I've seen footage. Used to be one of my favorites, and I think I've sort of grown out of it, or not grown out. That's the wrong. But like, the more I've listened to Death Grips, the more I've like that one's gotten worse in comparison. I think it's one of the most accessible ones, and I expected that to be a long-lasting love, but I guess it just didn't stand the test of time. I don't know. I mean, I'm saying it like I don't like the song. I really like the song. The beat is like one of their best, easily. Um, all right, let's just rank these. I'm pretty sure this is gonna be. I really like Punk Wait though, and Get God. I'm putting Get God. All right. Second favorite. I think I have to just do my first instinct. My first instinct is Double Helix. So I'll go with that. And then for third, I'll put. I think Lost Boys gets lost, in people's rankings. I don't think people value it enough. So this is either 3 or 4. I'm gonna put it at 3 just to stick it to how much I like this song. It's great. Underrated, I gotta say, because it tends to be in the bottom tier of people's rankings, I think. Um, After that, I'm gonna do Hustle Bones. Super catchy, really weird vocals, sampling they used in there. Uh, Super great. You know, can't sing its praises enough, I gotta say. Well, I mean, I guess I can because it's fourth. Um, it's crazy that these two are gonna get ranked this low, but I think Get Got takes fifth because it's the first example I can remember hearing of Ride giving a genuinely just straight good rap performance, and it wouldn't be anything too special if it wasn't for how it compared to his normally like screaming really aggressive delivery. Um and later song in Bottomless Pit, just spoilers, you know, love this song. Love this song. Um does the same thing but like to an even more extreme where it sounds unnatural to be hearing him like that, and it works so well for what the song's trying to communicate and just the general listening experience. So yeah, somehow Hacker manages to find its way in number 6. It feels wrong. It does feel wrong to rank any of these this low. And I think, honestly, I might have overrated Blackjack in my own mind. I think, Fuck That has a really good beat. And it's nothing like any of the other songs. I'd argue that its placement in the album is wrong. Like, it's weird to place it at the like near the end like that. I feel like it could have done better near the start when things are sort of getting into it. It sort of like slows the pace down of the entire album. But as a song, it's crazy good. And also, it doesn't really detract from the whole experience overall enough for me to complain. Like, nearly enough. And then I think I put Blackjack. I just really like the vocals in it. It's really cool. Uh, okay, I might actually have to do my first rearrange because I think I actually, yeah, okay. Bear with me here. I actually miss System Blower. That one has a really catchy chorus. You know, system blower, system over. And then it goes into like that weird noise that I couldn't even hope to recreate. Okay. Yeah. Kind of forgot about System Blower. That's my bad. It's number 6. Hacker down to number 7. That's rough. And then Fuck That at number 8. And then Blackjack and okay. Um, I think I'm gonna put Bitch Please. I think that has like the chorus is way too catchy, you know, it's like for what it is. And I think it sounds so trashy. Like they even say that in the song. You know, just so like you know, it really reflects lots of people's like view of hip hop, you know? Which is kind of the point of Def Grips overall, or one of the many points. At least their earlier stuff, I'd argue Ex-Military and Money Store definitely do this. Probably, I'd argue Powers That Be and Bottomless Pit do this to a lesser extent. But it's sort of a commentary, but not a criticism of hip hop. It's sort of just taking it to the extreme and just like, it's sort of like a cautionary thing. Like, listen, you when you're listening to hip hop, it can get brutal, you know, like, and they're singing about, you know, sort of poeticized is that a word? Lives of like people who are really have it bad and are, you know, in the streets with no money and, you know, doing drugs and dying and it like in crime ridden, impoverished places that force them into these horrible situations. And they're not, and it turns them into bad people. And that's the like underbelly of hip hop that you often forget. And I don't know, Bitch Please, it's so funny, but it does like evoke that in you. You know, you think about it because of that song. So it really does its job. Like, yeah, just super impressive for what the lyrics are. It's so great. I don't know. Okay, I've convinced myself it's getting it's getting moved above Blackjack, I think. Poor Blackjack. I had it in the running for number 1 or number 2. Now it's down at number 10, but you know, someone's got to fill the spot. Anyway, I'm going to do this. I've Seen Footage is a wonderful song. I can't oh god. I can't believe it ended up there, but it is just my least favorite song in the album. Even though the beat is so catchy, it's rivaling The Cage here, but I think it does get the last place. Okay, well there's the money store done. That was a really hard one, so hopefully the other ones should go a little bit faster. So, No Love Deep Web is a wonderful album, taking in a whole different direction for Death Grips. So I'd say Artificial Death in the West, definitely a strong contender for 1. That is my favorite closer to an album, and I'd argue that that is the, if I had to put a weak point, like the weakest point Death Grips has in album structure, I'd say choosing which song to end with, they sometimes struggle with a little bit. Or choosing how the ending song should feel. Like, even Blood Creeping leaves me wanting a little bit more. I think obvious exceptions are obviously Artificial Death in the West. This feels so climactic. It's perfect ending. Yeah, so this isn't included. Death Grips 2.0, when you first hear it after On GP, is so powerful. Like, it does not sound in isolation like you should ever end your album with that. It just sounds so weird to do, but it works, and it's really, really hard to explain why it works so well. And that's why separating this and like ranking it as its own song is going to be so brutal, because the whole point of it is it works in conjunction with the real end of the album is On GP. This is truly how the album ends, and this is like the like post-mortem of the album. It's like, you know, some sort of like it's, you know, it gave me chills when I was listening to it the first time. It was like terrifying what they were trying to get across by having that after. Like, On GP is just like sad and depressing, and like, you know, it gets you and you're like, okay, well there's the album done. And then Death Grips 2.0 hits you and it's really disorientating. And anyway, that's an exception. I do like Bottomless Pit as a closer, but I say it does suffer a little bit from the Death Grips, you know, struggling to end. Big Dipper doesn't count because it's in the middle of a double album, but I'd say that's a bad closer if it were in isolation. Disappointed. Okay, Disappointed. Okay, they have like a 50% hit rate with these closers being perfect. So I'm making it out to be a bigger problem than it is, but I really like Disappointed. I think Whatever I Want isn't that good as a closer, but it's the best on the album for a closer. So I don't know. I guess maybe I'm being overly critical. But anyway, I really like Bass Rattle Stars Out the Sky. You know, everybody, anybody, ain't nobody. Come Up and Get Me, great opener. Little Boy's funny. I really like Black Dice, but not enough to consider it for a number 1 spot. Worlds of Dogs has some of the most emo lyrics I've heard in any song, and it works. And I'm gonna throw Hunger Games on there because that one is really funny. I love it. Personal favorite, but maybe not my overall favorite. I do like Stockney. I'm bouncing, whoop, whoop. And I think I am gonna shove Lock Your Doors up there. Definitely gonna be a high pick, gotta say. I got some shit to say just for the fuck of it. And then like the audience applauding in the background, applauding. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Artificial Death in the West gets number one. I don't even think it's my favorite song on the album necessarily. If I was just ranking the songs by himself, it might be 2 or 3. But its placement in the album, it just feels so good and so right. I have to put it number one. It's like it becomes barely a competition. All right. Then I think I'm gonna go ahead. Put. Oh man, I don't want to choose between these. I think I'm gonna put "Lock Your Doors." I like that song a lot, but I'm gonna say like these blue picks, 2 to 5, are gonna be very very close. Honestly, on different days, I could rank them differently. Basically, I'm gonna go with Bass Rattle and then World of Dogs, then Come Up and Get Me, then Hunger Games. I think I'm overrating Hunger Games just because I love the meme potential. Uh, all right. Then I think I'm gonna go with No Love. No love, no love. It feels super wrong to rate that as low as I have, but when I look at it goes over Hunger Games. Let's be real. I'm sorry, Hunger Games. I'm sorry. Stockton also goes over. Oh, hold on. I love Whammy. I think Whammy doesn't get its praises sung enough. They have 2 different vocalists other than Ride being sampled in here, and I haven't looked into it, who they are, but it really works. I just like Whammy. It's weird, and I think Ride's vocal performance in that is like really weird and all over the place, and it super works. It works so well. Like, uh, I don't know. I think I do like pop as well. It's like pop, 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 pop. Uh, that feels a bit more like a transitionary. Going back to what I was saying about these songs in ex-military, but it's not. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I think Stockton is slightly better than Hunger Games, but it's really close. I think Black Dice gets the place. That's a great. It's one of their like subversively angriest. Like it feels like it shouldn't be as angry as it is, but it's like furious. It's like super mad. So I really like that about that one. Um, I yeah, Deep Web I think gets put here. Low Boy, fear over. I gotta stop singing them. All right, and I think Pop gets. I this is not at all how I expected these to be ranked, at all, not at all. But there we go. Yeah, that's my ranking. That's crazy. I suspected I would end up putting Artificial Death in the West at number one, but apart from that, it could have gone in honestly any order. These just they feel like they belong together too much to separate them like this. But anyway, Government Plates. Um, I've seen lots of people say this is their most underrated album, and when you see lots of people say that, you start to think, is it underrated? And I think my conclusion is yes, it is very underrated. I don't think people give it enough credit. The average Death Grips fan, myself included, for a long time, did not give it enough attention. It has my tentatively my favorite opener of apart from Beware, I think. So like second favorite. It's just like it starts with like, glass smashing and then like, it's a fucking duck in here. Ah! And then like a weird screaming vocal. It gets you in the mood for Government Plates immediately. It is like their most experimental up until this point. But it like sells you on the idea of this craziness they're giving you immediately. So yeah, I don't think there's going to be much competition here. It's my favorite. by quite a significant amount. I absolutely love this song. This, yeah, it like transcends this album, and this album is really good. Okay, I've already agreed it's underrated. This one transcends it. That honestly, this is like better than anything on No Love Deep Web, and I love, love, love No Love Deep Web. So there you go. That's how much I like this song. It is so bizarre, and it just uses that so well. Anyway, moving on. Um, this is where it gets hard. Government play, bootleg. Uh, whatever I want. I think whatever I want. I used to like a lot more than I do now. I still like it. Big House, I actually forget all the time it exists. That it exists. I forget that all the time. Um, Birds, great. Robert Pattinson really kills it in this one. Um, I think it's between Anne Bonny and Two Heavens for my second favorite. Two Heavens is all I keep saying I'm not going to sing, but I can't help it at this point. Pirate. Um, Alright, Two Heavens, then Anne Bonny. I guess, yeah, I mean, looking at how I'm ranking, I guess the start of the album's a bit better than the end, in my opinion. It like starts out really strong and sort of peters off. That's probably why people don't like it that much. Because the good and the quote unquote bad, like the weaker points and the stronger points aren't spread throughout, like is pretty much the case in every single one of their other albums. It's definitely top heavy, as in the first songs are like absolute bangers, and the last songs you're sort of just like, okay, yeah, I like it. It's not like as enthusiastic. That being said, I'm Overflow. Underrated as hell. that's like I guess that's the exception that proves the rule. This is what it could have been. Yeah, I am Overflow, Underflow, Shock Kick. Don't even know what he says. um, then Birds. Birds is super. Uh, I'm laughing and bopping at the same time, and also being disgusted at myself because I know what the song's probably about. Like I was like, vibing, singing along to it, and then I looked up an analysis of the lyrics because when I looked up the lyrics, it was completely like I just didn't understand it, and it's probably about rape. So cool. Um, yeah, but I think it's one of the longer songs on this. It might be the longest one on the album. I don't know why I don't know this. I'm pretty sure it is. Maybe Whatever I Want, Fuck Who's Watching is a bit longer. I don't remember. But either longest or second longest, and it doesn't outstay its welcome at all. It develops over the course. I think that's something where like I Want It, I Need It uh falls short in comparison is it doesn't justify its length quite as well. You know, it like Bird spends its time very effectively, I'd say. And it's also probably the single weirdest song on this album. Like the weird samples and noises they use, it's just like they just take things that you don't even want to like hear once. Like if you heard it out on the street, like these noises that are taken, you just like cringe. You'd be like, "What is that?" And then they make it into music, and it's pretty impressive. Um, I think this is Violence now. Next, yeah. Uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, just it's a bop. A bop to it. What more do you want? Then I think feels like a wheel. Nah, government plates. Government plates. Then feels like a wheel. Government plates. The I think that's a very good one. Not really much to say about these later tracks, to be honest. I think then I'll do bootleg, whatever I want, Big House. Oh yeah, there's only 11. Yeah, Big House is just, it's one of the most forgettable Death Grip songs, I'd say. Let me just move it down here so it's in line with all of the other worst ones. Yeah, I actually think, yeah, Big House, it's just very forgettable. I might have to listen to it again, because I don't even remember, like, the first, like, 20 seconds. That's pretty bad. I should remember more of it. Like, should I be rating it when I don't remember it that much? But then, or should I let it, the fact that I'm not remembering much of it, inform my decision? And that's what I'm going with right now. Alright. This one is going to be brutal to rank because there's so few of them. I don't want to put any of these as the last, but yeah, this, so powers that be, if I had to rank it as like a full thing, it has come like so close. It is like an inch away from beating out the Money Store, in my opinion. So close. It is like, it is on its tail, and I think it's threatening to take over at any second. And what makes no sense about that is that both Fellas on the Moon and Jenny Death are like behind the Money Store by like one or two picks, but they're not like on its tail, you know, they're not like bumping into its rear, you know, like threatening to take over at any moment. But when you put them together with their powers combined, I want so badly to just be like, you know, fuck it, the Money Store's a tiny bit worse. But I haven't convinced myself to do it yet. And it's honestly, it's a mixture of the first few songs in Fellas on the Moon and the last few songs. Okay, the last like 2/3 of Jenny Duff. It's just nothing like the Jenny Death is just nothing like I've heard Death Grips before. Like, Beyond Alive, Centuries of Damn on GP, that killer trio, just like, it's something else entirely. It's both way more familiar than anything else you've seen in Death Grips and way more alien. It's just like a walking contradiction, except it's not walking because they're songs. Um, Alright, anyway. Fellows on the Moon. First half of Powers That Be. Alright. I think in the running, Billy Not Really, Blank Quarterback, and Have a Sad Combi B and Fuck Me Out, I think, are gonna be my picks for number one. I'm gonna put Billy Not Really. I think it's pretty close, but that is the one that I find myself humming to all the time. Just constantly. I'm just like, no, Billy, not really. Yo, boy, yo. Ah! Just all the time. Uh, just constant. So I think it deserves the spot. Um, yeah, then Blank Quarterback, number two. I really like this song. It's like, I'm so Black Quarterback. It's um it sounds like so cool, you know, like it's like one of the coolest sounding ones, just in the way it's all put together. And one of my favorite Bjork samples out of all of the songs in there, like the use of it, maybe my favorite, because I think that is like the one thing I can say against Billy Not Really is it's sort of like undermined by Ride, but is that really a downside? Whatever. Um, Now I'm looking at it, I think I have rated these too highly. I think I'm gonna go ahead and put Up My Sleeves. Really good opener. Nothing too special. It suffers a little bit from what I was saying about I Want It, I Need It, where it's too long, as in it doesn't quite justify itself being that long, but it's far better. It honestly, this, like, to draw a weird connection, Up My Sleeve sounds like an improved I Want It, I Need It in a weird way. You know, it's like what it should have been or something. I like them both, but I think Up My Sleeve just like slightly justifies itself more. you know, sleeves, up my sleeves, up my sleeves, up my sleeves, up my sleeves. It's just more creative. I think it is the Bjork sampling. The Bjork sampling is what makes this album so special. Yeah, it just feels great to listen to. Cause it's so creative in how it uses these like vocals. Um, I really like Say Hey Kid, to be honest. I think that is gonna get number 4. You know, say hey kid, say hey kid, say hey kid, come play dead. Really catchy. Some of the funniest lyrics, which also sound like really weird and creepy when you're listening to it, and then you like look it up and you're like, you know, how did I ever feel anything other than just like, I don't know, it's just really funny, you know, really funny lyrics, you know, good comedy. It's like, John and Gilly are my friend. Your wife has a lovely neck. Doesn't feel good to drive a bus. Uh, so yeah, personal favorite. But realistically, it is worse than these 3. Then I think I'm gonna do. I think these 2 definitely belong together. Um, because something that's pretty obvious about these 2 albums is they mirror themselves structurally, like mirror each other. I mean, not themselves. Uh, in that I think it's sort of like leading up to Jenny Death, which is a more powerful version of what Fellas on the Moon does. I think, like, I haven't found a satisfying explanation. I think about this album all the time, The Powers That Be, I mean, because I think that I know I'm calling it Fellas on the Moon, it's like really cringe, but I think Fellas on the Moon is like it is, in a way, the same album as Jenny Death on a really abstract level. Um, and that's why they were put together, because they're effectively doing the same thing, but you can feel a very different tone in each of them. Uh, like you on first listen, they're nothing alike. They like don't deserve to be together. They're completely separate. But then you think about it, and I think what it's showing is it's like what their earlier albums were doing, especially in the Money Store and Ex-Military were doing, where they're showing the darker side of hip hop, or not just hip hop, but like the way of living that they're portraying in their songs, you know, just like super violent, you know, like drugs, violence, you know, sort of like just constant depression and like existential fear, and like I think if you've listened to Death Grips, you know what I mean. And so I think what this one's doing is sort of showing the saturated, you know, sort of like, what am I trying to say, like the masked version of Jenny Death in Fellas on the Moon, because you're like, it's just a fun album, you know, and it's like it's doing what Death Grips has always done. It is arguably the most Death Grips album, you know. If I wanted to point, or like part of an album, if I wanted to point out to someone, you know, a surface level reading of Death Grips, you know, like I would point to Fellas on the Moon. I'd be like, this is pretty much what they're about, you know. Uh, cool sampling, weird noises, crazy abrasive vocals, you know, sometimes a bit calmer, sometimes super insane yelling. Uh, Weird themes, you know, like overly sexual, overly violent, uh, really strange lyrics to like really nasty lyrics. I just like say this is like the Death Grips album, you know, to rule them all. Uh, yeah, that's basically what I'm saying about it. And then so when you get Jenny Death, it structurally is the same thing. I really should explain that. So it begins with like angry songs, right? To an extent. Both albums begin with very just openly angry songs, and that's what they do. Up My Sleeves, Billy Not Really, Black Quarterback, I'd say just they feel really angry, like generically angry, kind of what you imagine Death Grips as when you first listen to them. And then similar, you have I Break Mirrors, Inanimate Sensation, and to an extent Turned Off, not as much. I'm turned off. But that's just taken to like the nth level. I Break Mirrors is like one of the most nuts sounding songs. It's just like purposefully. They've gone out of their way to make Ride sound just completely unhinged. He's just saying the same thing over. I break mirrors with my face in the United States. I break mirrors with my face in the United States. I don't care about real life. And then Inanimate Sensation is that, except like pulled back a little and goes on for longer. I love Inanimate Sensation, by the way. Top Death Grip song. It's really good. And that's not even gonna be in the top like 4 when I rank this. That's how good Jenny Death is. But yeah, then it sort of goes into like sort of mellow, sort of like, what am I trying, like mellow but still scary, but not in like a scary as you would think, but like it sort of like tones it down, but going into like more calmer insanity. I think that's what these are trying to get across, is insanity but presented in 2 different ways. So the first one is sort of like like romanticized version, where it's like, oh, look at all this cool stuff that this crazy person gets up to. Basically, a really dumbed down like explanation. And then Jenny Death is like peeling back the skin, just like, this is what this is what this person's life is, and it's awful, and this should never be romanticized. You should never want this. This isn't what anybody wants. It's bad. It's like, it's despicable and sad and terrifying. So yeah, I think then it goes into like really sexual, and I think that's like the point. That's the that's like the what am I trying? That's like the other aspect of hip hop, is like violent, sort of like trashy, sexualized a lot, like a lot of graphic sexual imagery. And that's like, Have a Sad Come Baby and Fuck Me Out are pretty clearly that. And then similarly, you have one of my like pss, pss, creme de la creme. I love the song. It's just like unabashedly, like, this is their one song I can call a parody. It's unabashedly parodying like that type of hip hop song, that type of rap song, very surface level rap song, which is just talking about how many women you get, how what expensive items you own. I think it likes it's just like, but it feels uncomfortable to listen to. But they even have an air horn in there. I know they've used an air horn in at least one other song in this, but it just comes out of nowhere and you're like, did Death Grips use an air horn? What? Yeah, and Why a Bitch Gotta Lie is another one. The Powers That Be is kind of an anomaly. That's just going back to like angry sort of like megalomania, and I think that's what happens at the start. I guess it's like less unhinged angriness, and you could argue that that's what Voila and Big Dipper are doing. I think this is where my theory kind of falls apart, but it's very. I know I said Big Dipper was a bad closer, but the point is it's not a closer. I think no, I'm just gonna rate these. I've actually rated it more. I think this is my opinion. It feels so wrong. I love Voila. Like, I don't talk to the hair. Voila, voila. It feels wrong to rate it like that, but you gotta make those hard decisions. Is it really only 8 songs? Hold on. Damn, yeah. Yeah, it is only 8 songs. I didn't... my theory is stronger. Okay, because what I think is critically, it ends with Big Dipper, which does not feel like an ending at all, because it is uh, not showing you the last part of that pattern that is being shared between both of these. It's like, insane anger, or, anger, which comes through way more in this album, admittedly. But just like general anger and like almost, and then it goes into like cockiness and like, you know, like really sexual, uh, like you know what I'm talking about, and then like uh, and then it goes back into sort of like a more calm, reserved version of that anger you saw at the start. It's more like megalomania, I guess is what I'm trying to say, like a bit really cocky, uh, and like, but definitely artificially so, and you don't see that in here because this is the artificiality. But then in Jenny Death, when it gets to the powers that be and like Beyond Alive, the true colors really come through. Beyond Alive is like the transition between everything that came before and everything that's going to end off the album. You start to like, you start to feel like it's like Pink Floyd levels of like nihilism and despair, honestly, start coming through. Um, I guess not like levels, but it's the same style. It definitely is very Pink Floyd esque, you know? Uh, so yeah, you sort of get that, and then you go into Centuries of Damn, which is a beautiful song. And you're like, you're just sitting there, and you're like, you're like not expecting any of this, because before this is just what Fellas on the Moon did, but taken to an extreme. But this Fellas on the Moon, it stopped before it got to the Centuries of Damn point, because this is like the rock bottom. This is what the like person being shown in this album, I guess, like the traditional like rap protagonist, I guess. It's oh god. Is trying to they're trying to portray. This is what he really feels like inside. This is like the dark underbelly of what kind of lives these people are living. And I think On GP is also partially like a personal reflection from Stefan. That's the sort of feel I get, especially because he name drops himself in there. Sort of like a self contemplation part, but I think at how it assists the greater album, it basically caps it off with Centuries of Damn into On GP, and On GP is just brutal. My life is horrible and pointless, and I might as well just end it all. There's no point going on. uh I've amounted to nothing. I've done horrible things. uh I've lived awfully. I'm like dependent on drugs. Whatever, you get that kind of feel. uh it's like some of the most like emotionally crippling stuff, song I've listened to, uh in a good way. um and so that's what I'd say is the reason for Death Grips 2.0 being such a shock, and like like, you know it gave me like shivers while I was listening to it, because you expect it to end on GP, where he's basically saying, I'm about to kill myself. My life is over. There's no redemption. That's it. I'm ending it. It's like the worst end you can have to your life. It's like just realizing everything was for nothing. You're a bad person, or what you've done doesn't amount to anything, even if you're not a bad person. Time to end it. Time to be done with it. And then Death Grips 2.0, I think you can interpret On GP in two ways. I think definitely the one I'd throw my money to is the suicide depression angle, where like all of these insane act, like the life that this person has lived, this MC Ride character, I guess, I would say, is probably what they're going for. His lift is led him to uh, just like ruin and eventually suicide. But you could also say that this is like a descent into madness. I could definitely see that angle. And that means that like Death Grips 2.0 is sort of a rebirth of you. Like if On GP is like the last straw, that's like the last grip onto sanity, then Death Grips 2.0 is like you're you're off on the deep end. You know, there's absolutely no coming back. There's no vocals anymore. So the protagonist, essentially, who's been with us the entire album, is just gone. Uh, and so either he's offed himself, or he's gone off the deep end and he's just done. But either way, there's no coming back from what's happened, and that is the like worst possible ending to what was going on. How long did I just speak about this album? Holy. All right. Anyway, that's my interpretation. There's a lot of holes. But yeah, that I wasn't meant to go on that long. I just kind of got carried away. Anyway, let's rate these. So I think it's safe to say that everyone's kind of going to agree on this. If I find someone who is saying On GP isn't the best song from Jenny Death, I don't know who you are. Get out of my house. You know, what are you doing here? Um, then it gets into more personal preference. I am going to go Centuries of Damn. This leading into On GP, they pair so well. They're effectively saying very similar things. Centuries of Damn is like, you know, it's definitely a reflection, just like On GP is. But it's like, you know, catchy and feels so good to listen to, but for in completely different way to how any other Death Grip songs. Like these two feel so much different than any other Death Grip song. And definitely heavily rock inspired. They've basically departed completely from what you'd consider, you know, hip hop and rap, and just gone into like a more classical, maybe 60s, 70s style rock, I'd say. Um, you know, but adding their own spin to it as always. Okay, then it comes down to personal preference. I think, uh, man, I'm gonna go the trio. Beyond Alive, great introduction to here. You know, it's sort of like I think that's like the end of the megalomania section where he's sort of like all full of himself and super confident. And that sort of caps it off where it's sort of leading into the realization, you know, it's like, you know, I'm beyond alive, you know. Uh, then I'm honestly, I'm gonna put Inanimate Sensation. This one slaps super hard. It goes through like 5 different transformations. Um, MC Ride Whispers, which is something else to hear, you know. This is a great song. I don't think anyone's gonna argue against it being a great song. Um, this is where it gets really hard. I'm gonna say it right now. That's happening, but for the reasons I've already said, like I super respect this song. It is like take this out of the album, it kind of ruins it. This is an integral part, and it's great. But as a song, I have to say it is my least favorite. If I were just gonna listen to it by itself, you know, it's very contextual, whatever. Um, yeah, personal preference for me, it is Turned Off. I think is next. You know, I'm turned off. No, actually I break mirrors slightly higher. Um, because I don't know, it's a great opener into the second half of this. It's like recontextualizes the first half of Powers That Be that you just heard. Completely retextualizes it, recontextualizes it. Sorry. Um, you know, you're just like, you know, you thought some of that was nuts. Well, you haven't heard anything yet. That sort of deal. Then I'm gonna go Psst, Psst. And Why a Bitch Gotta Lie. Oh no! That hurts. That hurts. That hurts my soul. That do be hurting my soul. Alright, hold on. We can fix this. Okay, whatever, no. Actually, just because of how Death Grips 2.0 works to the overall album, yeah, I think it is going to beat out Powers That Be. I don't know why, but the the album name song, I don't like it that much it's like significantly lower. I just don't find like everything else makes me think, and I'm just like super into it. I like almost when I'm listening to it doing other things, I kind of just have to stop for a second just to appreciate it. But the Powers That Be just doesn't get me. I don't know. It doesn't get me, and it hasn't got me. Uh, I don't know why, but yeah, it's just like I don't get it, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know why that one hasn't reached me, but that one in particular, I completely I forgot. But yeah, that one actually is probably in the running for my least favorite, and it's definitely not a bad song. I just don't get it. I don't know. That's really weird. Huh. All right. Now, now we're on to my favorite album. So, yeah, whatever I put in number one has a very good chance of winning, but not guaranteed. Let's just say definitely not guaranteed. Um, this is going to be brutal to choose from because I love them all. Like I'm like giving Bad People Good Ideas. Great intro, crazy guitar, crazy vocals, and then Hothead just takes what Giving Bad People Good Ideas does and just multiplies it like tenfold. You're like absolutely insane. It is. If I had to call any one Death Grips song the most insane, I would go Hothead because it's just like just oh no 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 no, oh no Hothead, oh no. And like you can't distinguish any element really. It kind of just all mushes together, but it's beautiful. It's so good. I can't sing its praises enough, I don't think. Honestly, I it is going to be very close for the number one spot, but Hothead's up there. Um, Three Bedrooms in a Good Neighborhood is arguably the single catchiest Death Grip song I've ever heard. I just, I get it stuck in my head constantly, and I want it in my head. I want it just to never leave, you know? And it has some of the, like, filthiest imagery in any Death Grip song. And it makes it pretty fun, to be honest, and really hard to sing around your family. Just like, you're just like, I'm all up in my glory hole, and they're like, what? I'm like, oh, nothing. Uh, yeah, cool story, I know. Um, Ring a Bell. I'm just gonna put all of my favorites. 8080 and Ring a Bell. Definitely. Trash is underrated. I think. Oh my God, I forgot about What is wrong with me? So this was what I was hinting at when I was talking about Get Got. This is like the calmest vocal performance Stefan has given by a pretty good margin. Calmer than Get Got. Definitely. There's a lot of parallels you can draw between Bottomless Pit and The Money Store, and you definitely want to draw and Get Got together. They're very, very similar. But I love the content because it's speaking like directly to you. I think it's like it is just it's like a roast of the fans, of like Death Grips fans, just saying like, you know, you are so unimportant to me, whether you guys exist or not. Like whether you're listening to this music, I don't give a shit. We're making this for us. You guys and your like your demands, your whatever. We don't care. We will not show up at our concerts. We'll do whatever. You're not the important part. Our music is. Um, I don't know. For some reason, maybe I'm like a masochist, but I love hearing that. So, yeah, I'm okay. I'm gonna do it. Paul, it is so close between all of these. Warping's up there. Spikes, definitely up there. Spikes, 100% up there. Spikes is so good. Uh, yeah, I think makes it. I just like it's so catchy. Who you think you are? Fuck's like, do you know who I am? Fucks fail to understand. I'm like, eh. It's like, man, I also, I mean, pretty solid music video. Really good music video. But I'm not really counting that. Just thought I'd mention it. Now I think Three Bedrooms next. Um, it's a pretty shallow song for a Death Grip song, but it works still. So like I'm not gonna be ashamed about putting it to like it used to be my favorite when I was saying my favorite from Bottomless Pit to myself because I talk to myself about my favorite Death Grip songs. Who doesn't? I would always say that is my favorite, but it is just now that I've decided to change to because I don't know. That's just how I feel. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do Hothead because that one by far took the longest to grow on me in this album, and when it did, it was so satisfying. When I listened to it, it was like a night day switch. I was like, this is the worst on the album. It's just random noise. I listened to it one more time. I listened to it like 7 times. I listened to it one more time, and I suddenly got it. Just like I have no idea what changed, but I just was in love with it and had to play it over and over again. And then that's when the whole album just came together and I decided it was my favorite. I was like, holy crap, what happened? I still don't know what changed. I don't know. But yeah, that's third favorite now. I think Spikes. He thinks he's Spikes, 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 Spikes. Do 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 do. I think definitely gets there. Uh, Spikes is like they give you like a really harsh introduction with giving bad people good ideas and Hothead. Like they're not messing around. They just swing all their punches. And I think Spikes is the transition into the very catchy rest of the album. It's like you've earned your right to listen to all of this easier stuff because you got through giving bad people good ideas and Hothead. That's how it felt to me when I first listened to it because I didn't get it at all. And now I appreciate it all, but it still feels like that to a degree because the first two songs are just so nuts and feel very different. And somehow it works just so well. It's like so smooth. Ring a Bell has, I mean, like a really catchy like riff. Um, uh, yeah, I mean, like I don't know. I have actually seen a few people saying they really like it. I think I haven't watched the Eggman, the Anthony Fantano's reviews. I'm not like in love with them, but I haven't watched them for all of Death Grip's albums. So I watched them for a few. Definitely my favorite ones. And I watched the Bottomless Pit review after I listened to this album about like 10 times. Uh, and he said he didn't like Ring a Bell, and that really shocked me, because I was expecting him to come out and just be like, I was expecting that one to be one of the ones he kind of just brushes over and is like, yeah, this was really good. Next, but he like singled it out as his least favorite in the album, and that really shocked me. I was expecting something like Giving Bad People Good Ideas or I don't know, like Trash or Bubbles Buried in the Jungle to maybe stand out for some reason, even though I don't know. Honestly, when I went into it, I wasn't really expecting much, but and so I wasn't really expecting any of them to be singled out as bad. Uh, but yeah, he said Ring a Bell was just like basic, and it didn't push Death Grips forward. And to that I say, fuck you, man. I don't have a good comeback, but I mean, like, what do you mean it's pushing it forward? You know, it's the album as a whole. Like, what's Spike's doing to earn its place? You know, or I don't know. I don't really get that criticism. Maybe I misunderstood it, but I don't know. It has a really catchy, like guitar riff, and I think it's like really unique sound for Death Grips. Not like a unique sound in music, but like a unique sound that Death Grips hasn't really done before. Um, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna put that there. And I think I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna do 80808 80808. Jesus Christ. That's like a really catchy one. Uh, I love its placement in the album. It's like one of the last ones that you hear. Beautiful. Warping is a great transition from Spike, so I'm gonna put that there. Now I think I'm going to, 3-4, fuck you, baby, Mr. Something something Houdini, baby. I don't even know the lyrics, dude. I've heard these songs so many times. Now I think BB Poison. BB Poison is banger. Oh baby poison, oh baby poison, I deep out on me. Uh, I mean, after that, I think trash, trash. We like trash, something something, trash. We upload trash. Uh, that is something I haven't talked about in Death Grips. There's definitely like you know, internet abuse themes, I guess is what you'd call it. With like No Love Deep Web was the first one that alerted me to that being a thing. Then you have like Hacker in the Money Store, Culture Shock even. I mean, or like 5D, sort of like the more like, going into like internet culture, I guess. I hate the words that are coming out of my mouth. Um, so but like I don't know if it's like a theme. It's just something that I like to sing about sometimes. And trash is definitely that. It's like the trash on the internet, sort of like humans creating trash, and now they have like this thing to generate trash at a way quicker pace. And I don't know if they're trying to talk about their own music being that, but if they are, they're wrong. But it could be an interesting angle. Um, then I think Bottomless Pit. This is the one I've been most embarrassed to just have stuck in my head because I'll just be randomly going, "I'll fuck you in half," and I had one of my family members walk past the door and just be like, "What? What?" And they just like leaned in the door, and I'm like, "Nothing. Listening to music. It's fine." Uh, but like, yeah. Um, I think it's pretty great. I think it's definitely below all of these ones. There's definitely a line between Trash and Bottomless Pit here. Um, but it's a pretty solid closer. I personally love it. What more can I say? Then I think I am going to put Giving Bad People Good Ideas second last. I think it's a really good introduction, but as a song, I'm not in love with it. I just think it's really, really good. So I don't know. I have a really high bar for being in love for stuff. And then Bubbles Buried in This Jungle actually is my least favorite. There we go. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is about this song, but I was just not. I was impressed the first few times I heard it, but the more I heard it, the less impressed I was. And I really don't have a good explanation to why. I just don't find the beat that interesting. I like it lyrically a lot. Um, and I think the lyrics have a real good flow, but it does just feel like basic, I guess. I don't know. It's my least favorite. I don't have a good reason. Moving on. All right, and now we get Year of the Snitch. Beautiful album. It's so great. I really, really, really want more albums from Death Grips, obviously, but they've said they're a temporary thing. They're not going to be here forever. They came to do a few albums and then, bug off for their own projects. Um, So I would not mind if Year of a Snitch was the one they closed on, to be honest. Well, I'd be very sad. Like, apart from crying in my room every day after they announced they're not doing any more songs. Except I wouldn't, because I wouldn't trust them. If Death Grips ever just comes out and it's just like, yeah, we're done. Permanently. Which they have before, by the way. Yeah, don't believe them. Don't trust them. It'll be 50 years down the line, right? Ride's like 90 or whatever. And then they'll come out with their last album and they'll be like, oh, sorry, we're doing one more. And it's going to be their best yet. I'm calling it right now. Death Grips is online, definitely in the running. Really great. This was the first album I heard, like I said, and it took a while to grow on me. I really like the fear. The fear. Doom, 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 doom. A really creepy feel. Like it has that horror movie vibe, you know. Uh, I don't know. I think I'm obligated to put Black Paint in the running, but I'm not as impressed with it as some people are. I really like the horn section. In the horn section. I think that's one that's not talked about enough. I'm gonna put Linda's in Custody. Do 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 do. It has like a really great sort of like weird, creepy instrumental, but it's man, man, this is hard. Streaky. That'll be in the running for number 2, definitely. It's not number 1. Oh man. Flies vomit me, flies. Yeah. Oh, disappointed. It's a shit show. Shit show. Ha ha ha, bitch. I gotta like stop doing the little like. Listen. Okay. Listen. Just freaking get up there. I did not expect this. I had to. I took a pause because I had to go listen to the entire album again. I was realizing how much I'm gonna struggle to rank this. This is the single Death Grips album I think rely on each other the most to become like such a cohesive monster of an album. I don't know. I think they need each other. It's like they flow into each other. It feels a lot like steroids, where it's like it's one big thing, and you can separate them into their own songs, but really it's all one big thing. So trying to peel them away from each other, it feels wrong. But I mean, you gotta try. You gotta try. So I think I'm gonna go ahead with man. Okay. Instinct. Linda's in Custody is my favorite. Oh my god, that feels so wrong to do though. Oh man. Yeah, it's the fear. It's the fear. Then I'll do Linda's in Custody. How about that? But I also like. Oh man, I also really like Death Grips is online. Okay, Death Grips is online. Then Linda's in Custody. Then I'll do the horn section, I think. That seems right. This is wrong, by the way. I'm just gonna say it's subjectively wrong. You guys have way better rankings of this. This is actually the one that's gonna change every day. Every day I could rank this differently. It's really hard. Why? Why is this album so hard to rank? God damn. Okay. I think Shit Show gets it. It's a shit show. Shit show. It feels so much like a shit show, and it works, and it's glorious, glorious. I am gonna put that over the horn section. Streaky, I think, and then Black Paint. How is Black Paint number 7? What in the hell? All right. Then I'll put ha ha ha, bitch. Ha ha ha, bitch. I think I'm gonna go ahead and put Dilemma. You know. Oh, do you know it well? Oh, it don't. You know. And then Little Richard. Little Richard's very weird. It's definitely feels like a transitionary. But that means that Flies is my least favorite. And that doesn't add up. What went wrong? I don't know. How is Flies my least favorite? You know, flies vomit me, flies. Flies vomit me. Some. That one's so good. Okay, well, this is it. And Disappointed is such a great closer, and it's number 11. Alright, whatever. It's impossible to rank this. Alright. Whew. And now we come to the dramatic climax of the video, where I find out which is my favorite Death Grip song, and which is my least favorite Death Grip song. Start with favorite. We have Known for It, an absolute banger with a stupidly good instrumental from their first album. The Fever, I think close to inarguably the most catchy and best song. Just lyrically, it's genius, from their first studio album. Artificial Death in the West, the best Death Grips closer, from their second studio album. Really climactic, ties everything together. You might think he loves you for your money, etc., etc. One of the craziest, arguably best, in my opinion, second best intro to a Death Grip song. As an intro, as a song, I prefer it to Beware, but as an intro, I think it's second best. It's nuts what sounds they put in. The vocal performance is insanity. I mean, it's a great song. Billy Not Really, definitely one of, like, in top 3 catchiest Death Grip songs, I'd say. I find myself humming this all the time, constantly. On GP, a completely different direction for Death Grips. It's like going back to like classic rock, like self-reflection, like depressing, really, like, it is the best song I've seen tie an album together so cleanly. And it was their double album, so it's just super impressive. The amount of weight this thing has on its shoulders, you know, what everything it does, and not even just like an incredible song in isolation, but paired with Centuries of Damn and Beyond Alive, and then Death Grips 2.0 afterwards. It's really powerful. Just great song. Is a wonderful song showcasing MC Ride's ability to rap like quote unquote properly. You know, it's like, it's a brutal destruction of their fans. You know, it's like really cruel. It's great. I mean, it's just so like backhanded and catchy as fuck, dude. It's so good. I mean, like, great music video. What more can I say? This thing is just like arguably peak Death Grips. I mean, I can't, like, I don't know. The fact that it characterizes Death Grips so well by being like such an outlier in its vocal performance and the instrumentals, it's just like really impressive. And then The Fear is, The Fear, do 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 do. It's like very, very, very unique. That is absolutely the best thing this song has going for it right now. Is it's so unique. It can only be in one Death Grips album. It characterizes the entire album, and really weird vocals. It's just like it's its own thing. And I mean, like, I don't know, it, as much as I could have swapped it with a couple other songs from Year of the Snitch, I really think it does deserve to be here. It's a wonderful song. Anyway, yeah. Now we get to rank these. Okay. I think my instinct is to put Billy Not Really near the bottom of the best songs because I think that it just it stands its ground in the in the context of its own album, but I don't think it stands against the like best of the best, you know? It just doesn't. It's like, when the thing it has going for it is it's super catchy, and it has a creative sample. I don't think that's enough to push it over the edge into my favorite. Definitely, so definitely near the bottom. I'd also say The Fear belongs near the bottom. I would put it above Billy Not Really. Because what it does for the album doesn't change the fact that I like the other songs better. Like I like listening to other songs better. Um, man, Artificial Death in the West, I think, gets moved down. Wonderful closer, but I think it definitely works more contextually than it does as a standalone song, if that makes sense. But I mean, it's so good it feels wrong, but I have to put it there. Artificial Death in the West, East. Uh, it's like second most climactic song after On GP. How about that? And this is where it gets really hard. Okay, so I think You Might Think He Loves You goes next. Beautiful song, beautiful introduction. When I think of Death Grips, it's definitely in like the 10 first songs that I think of, which definitely means something. I just love how all of the components of the song to come together to make a crazy song that somehow works. Very similar to like I Break Mirrors with My Face, but I actually think it's that but better. To be honest, if I have to bring out the hot takes, it's just better Break Mirrors. Um, I think Known For It goes down next. Fourth favorite Death Grip song. Not really. Like this not really how this works because it's all from the album, like the different albums, you know. But yeah, Known For It next. I think it has like a really great not instrumental. I mean it does, but great sample, great use of it, really great lyrics. But I guess it's just like slightly more shallow than these other three. Eh, I think is gonna have to take number three. I think it's gonna have to take. I think it's gonna have to take a seat behind On GP and The Fever. It okay. The fact that it's very close to the between The Fever and Eh means that it's looking like On GP is gonna take everything and be my favorite Death Grip song. But the more I think about it, the more I want to put The Fever here because it characterized what Death Grips was to me for so long. It was my stated favorite Death Grips song for a significant portion of time, like definitely several weeks, before I heard Bottomless Pit. Even after I heard On GP, I still consider The Fever my favorite, but now that it's coming down to it, On GP, it's just like no Death Grip song has made me feel quite the way On GP made me feel. Like it brought out emotions in me that I didn't think like music could. It sounds weird to say, it's not like I was crying, but I mean it's like I really felt it when it came on and when it ended. But I can't. All right, On GP gets third. I think it's just not Death Grips enough for me to justify putting it as my favorite Death Grips song. It's just not quite. It's just too not Death Grips, if that makes sense, to be any higher than where it is now. I think that's what it comes down to. It's not even just the song's quality anymore, because I have them like on par. It's impossible to decide. I think it's just how Death Grips it is, honestly, at this point. Like, I think and the Fever do more for putting Death Grips, giving Death Grips its place than On GP does. And I think that leaves me, unfortunately, making the obvious decision of like putting a song from my favorite album in the number one spot. I was hoping that it would be like a wacky like reverse of your expectations. You know, it's like, even though it's my favorite album overall, it doesn't have my favorite song in it. But yeah, I think it feels really weird to say that is my favorite Death Grips song, but I'm a normie, so there we go. Is my favorite. The Fever, very, very close. Honestly, different day, The Fever could take it. An even differenter day, On GP could take it. There's my opinion. Yeah, like I predicted at the start, it was never going to be satisfying. This was just a way of forcing me to put a song down as my favorite. It depends what mood I'm in, you know, what I'm going to listen to, but just everything comes together for that one. And that's okay, there we go. Now, let's find my least favorite. Alright, so we have Lord of the Game. All of these are killer songs. It's really unfortunate that they get put as the least favorite, but like Voila definitely does not deserve to be here. Goddamn. Okay. So my instinct is to move Flies away from the bottom. I think Lord of the Game is going to be very close to the bottom. It's just like it's very generic. Even though it's like one of their most iconic, it's almost too generically hip hop for like you know. There's the lead male vocals and then the backup female vocals. Very samey beat, I guess. I'm being way too harsh, but you know, you gotta be harsh. Lord of the Game's definitely near the bottom. I think the Powers That Be is also very near the bottom. I almost want it taken out of the album because it kind of detracts from the album. It sort of like puts a hole on it, you know? I don't really know why it's there. And I mean, it's not like I don't skip any of these songs when I'm listening to it because it feels wrong to do that. And I like the songs. But when it comes down to it, I mean, I think the Powers That Be, I actually dislike it way more than I thought I did. But yeah, now that I think about it, yeah, it's like, it just shouldn't be there. It like sticks out. This one's too good to be that close. Like Bubbles Buried in This Jungle is a banger. Same with I've Seen Footage. I think this is what's gonna happen. I think beer over. Alright. Let's take a bit of a look. I think I'm happy with this. I'm pretty happy with this. Okay. So out of my least favorites, I've Seen Footage is my least favorite out of my least favorites of each album. And then followed by Bubbles Buried in This Jungle, then Flies. Because these ones, right, like, up until Big House, I think, these are not close to bad songs. They're not even close to bad Death Grip songs. They're just happen to be the worst of the albums. Those were the ones that I was just upset to be putting there because I didn't actually think they deserved to be there. It's just I had to put one from the album there somehow. Then I'd say Big House is pretty weak. It's pretty weak. You know, it's a pretty weak one. Lord of the Game, again, pretty weak. I'd say it's like a weak link of Ex-Military. Even though it's so iconic, you know, it's sort of justified itself by being there for so long. And like having that sound to it. But it's just not that interesting, I guess. And then the Powers That Be, you know, I've got the powers that be. Uh, I get what its place is thematically in the album, but I think you're going up to this dramatic climax of On GP, Centuries of Damn, Beyond Alive, and then you just get the powers that be, and it just feels bad, I guess. There you have it. The powers that be is my least favorite Death Grip song. Would you look at that? I would not have expected that. I had a sneaking suspicion that a Bottomless Pit song would come up. I didn't actually expect it to be I thought it would be Three Bedrooms. It feels better to put than Three Bedrooms. I feel less bad about that. And I don't feel, you know what? I'm relatively happy with this. Here we go. There we go. There's my powers that be. All right. That's only an hour 43 minutes of my life I just spent on that. A bit more actually, because I think I started and stopped. Yeah, it's about 2 hours of my life spent classifying my Death Grip songs. So let's just get it all on screen. Not that you can read it when I zoom out like that, but there you go. Official Death Grip's rankings of each album, to the powers that be. Epic.